Today, we're kicking things off with a coin that might be hiding in plain sight, the 1989 Lincoln Cent. Many of these spent decades jostling for pocket change before collectors caught wind of their quirks, and now certain specimens command surprising sums. As we peel back the layers on this seemingly ordinary 1-cent piece, you'll discover how a little detail in the minting process transformed a humble penny into a sought-after rarity. The story of the 1989 Lincoln Cent begins at the Philadelphia Mint, where production of the Lincoln Memorial reverse design was in full swing. Struck in copper-plated zinc, these coins circulated by the billions, plunked into vending machines, commuted in wallets, and used to pay for parking meters. Yet among the standard specimens lurked flawed examples caused by grease-filled dies and planchet flaws that left lovely, ghostly impressions or spots of discoloration. Spotting these errors is like playing detective. You'll be scanning surfaces, hunting for double strikes, die cracks, or that faint outline of Abraham Lincoln's profile stamped again in miniature beside the main design. What makes a 1989 cent rare? First, the grease-filled die error. During high-speed production, oil or grease could accumulate in the die recesses, preventing metal from fully filling the design and yielding weak, distorted impressions. On some 1989 pennies, the date looks slightly distorted, almost as if someone erased and reproved it. Those missing details can fetch anywhere from $5 to $50 in worn grades, and pristine mint-state specimens have sold for over $200 at specialized auctions. Then there are double dies, where the working die shifted minutely between strikes and imparted a ghost image next to the primary relief. These double dies are far scarcer. In top grades, they've achieved prices upwards of $500 when certified by top-tier services. Market values for these error coins have climbed steadily since dedicated penny hunters started spreading the word in the 2000s. The first documented auction record for a greased die 1989 cent surfaced around 2004, when a circulated example reached $75. By 2015, a near-perfect MS67 grease error piece broke the $300 barrier at a major online coin auction. Most recently, in early 2024, an MS68 grease error fetched $450, demonstrating that demand remains strong among specialists. Keep in mind, these values reflect only the most striking grease cents or double dies. Everyday specimens command face value or a small premium. Beyond their production quirks and auction tallies, a few stories make the 1989 cent particularly memorable. One collector recounted finding a grease-filled die penny at his local bank in 2012. He almost spent it on coffee before noticing the sunken features. After a quick photo posted to an online forum, dozens of enthusiasts descended on the same bank, scanning rolls for similar treasures. Another tale involves a die crack that stretches from Lincoln's collar down to the rim, so dramatic it resembles a lightning bolt. That particular piece sold for $120 in an online marketplace when graded at MS65. Collectors also pay attention to subtle planchet issues. The 1982 transition from bronze to zinc left the mint wrestling with blanks sourced from different suppliers. In rare cases, a 1989 penny blank was mistakenly a leftover copper planchet from the early 1980s. Those all-copper strike survivors exhibit a warmer hue and ring with a distinct metallic tone, and certified examples have reached $250 in high grades, simply because they shouldn't exist. Such oddities remind us how manufacturing shifts can leave behind little-time capsules. When assessing condition, mint-state examples are where significant premiums lie. A typical circulated grease error in fine F12 condition might fetch $15, whereas the same error in extremely fine F40 jumps closer to $60. An MS63 grease error commonly brings $125, and MS64 pieces can top $200. For double dies, even MS60 specimens often start around $150, climbing to $500 for MS65 and above. Certification by a respected third-party grading service can make or break these values. Buyers pay extra for the peace of mind that the error is genuine and the grade accurate. Despite their value, these pennies remain within reach for passionate enthusiasts. Hunting through circulation and bulk rolls can unearth decent examples, and annual collector shows often feature dealers offering error 1989 cents for modest premiums. If you prefer to buy online, look for coins with clear photos of both sides, close-ups of the date, and any highlighting of raised or sunken areas that indicate an error. Always check recent auction results to gauge current market trends before bidding. It's worth noting that cleaning these pennies can destroy their value. Grease-filled die errors often display discoloration or surface buildup that might tempt someone to scrub them shiny. Resist the urge. Cleaning can wash away the grease residue patterns and alter natural patina, both critical to error identification. Leave them untouched, store them in inert holders, and let the story shine as is. Some enthusiasts also examine strike strength. On grease die errors, elements like the wreath on the reverse may appear faint or even missing. That uneven consistency between obverse and reverse can help confirm a genuine grease error. Collectors sometimes refer to this as ghosting, since Lincoln's silhouette appears faintly on the reverse as well. That reverse ghosting, combined with the weakened date on the obverse, makes these coins stand out in any collection. Before we turn our attention to the next coin, think about this. A single 1989 penny, once thought to be worth just 1 cent, now offers a gateway into a world of minting mysteries and collector camaraderie. Those faint lines, subtle distortions, and whispers of manufacturing hiccups are what transform ordinary change into treasures. Up next, we'll explore the story of a different era's cent, the 1973 Lincoln penny, and uncover its own lineup of quirks and surprises. Now, let's shift our gaze back to 1973, when the Lincoln cent sported its familiar memorial reverse, yet carried secrets that only sharp-eyed collectors would notice. At first glance, a 1973 penny looks like any other from that era. A warm copper sheen, Lincoln's bust centered boldly on the obverse, and the familiar wreath encircling the denomination on the reverse. But dig a little deeper, and you'll find that grease-filled dies, doubled dies, and planchet mishaps left behind a trail of collectible oddities that can turn a common cent into a prize-winning treasure. The 1973 Lincoln cent rolled off both the Philadelphia and Denver presses in staggering numbers. Over 4.3 billion coins struck that year. The Philadelphia Mint used plain P indistinct from the no mint mark business strike, while Denver's D mint mark sits just below the date. During such high-volume production, grease, oil, and stray metal fragments could accumulate in die recesses, leading to coins missing fine details or sporting ghostly impressions. The vast output meant most coins spent their lives in circulation, but a select few never left the mint in pristine condition, or left with those minting quirks intact. One of the most sought-after 1973 varieties is the grease-filled die error. On these, parts of the design, often the date, Lincoln's cheek, or the word Liberty, appear faint or even obliterated. Since the die's engraving fills with grease, the metal flow is impeded, leaving blank spots or weak impressions. Collectors call these incomplete strikes, and they range from barely noticeable to dramatic. A lightly filled die might show only a partial gap in the rim, whereas an extreme example can look as though someone took an eraser to Lincoln's profile. Those intense omissions can command premiums of $20 to $75 in worn grades, and pristine mint state examples have broken $200 at auction. Another headline-making variation is the double die obverse. Here, the master hub imprinted the die twice in slightly different positions, creating ghost images of letters or numerals. For the 1973 cent, the doubling often affects the date, the motto, "In God We Trust," or the word Liberty. Spotting this requires holding the coin at an angle under bright light. Those doubled elements appear as thin shadows next to the primary strikes. Double dies from Denver and Philadelphia both exist, but the Denver examples are scarcer. A certified 1973 D double die cent in high grade has fetched upwards of $600, while more common mint state grades still start around $250. Market values for these 1973 error cents have climbed steadily over the last 2 decades as specialized penny collectors have spotlighted them. The first major sale of a dramatic grease-filled die 1973 cent occurred in 2006, where a VF20 example reached $65. By 2012, a near-perfect MS66 grease error achieved $180, and in 2023, a PCGS-graded MS67 broke the $350 barrier. Double die varieties have seen even more dramatic appreciation. A 1973 D double die obverse sold for $1,200 in 2018 at a specialist auction, and more recently, an MS67 example topped $1,500 in late 2024. These figures underline how demand among niche collectors can drive values far above face value, sometimes by hundreds of times. Yet the most intriguing tales come not from price tags, but from the stories collectors share. One numismatist described pulling over at a convenience store in 2010 to sort through a pouch of pennies, only to realize the shiny 1973 cent in his hand wasn't shiny at all, but strangely pale, where Lincoln's profile should be crisp. That single discovery led him to scour bank coin wrappers for weeks, turning up half a dozen more grease-fill anomalies. Another enthusiast at a coin show displayed a 1973 P double die in a simple plastic flip, and two bidders got into a silent duel, raising paddle numbers until the auctioneer's gavel struck $950. The excitement in the room was palpable, proof that even a small cent can ignite fierce competition. Beyond errors, there are planchet issues to consider. In the early 1970s, the Mint experimented with blank suppliers, and occasionally a cent blank might be slightly off-spec in weight or composition. Some 1973 blanks were underweight by a fraction of a grain, producing coins that ring with a higher pitch and feel noticeably lighter. Others were struck on planchets with small laminations, thin layers of metal peeling away, yielding coins with partial copper sections or copper brief spots. These planchet flaws are rarities in their own right. Certified examples of 1973 penny lamination errors can command $100 to $250, depending on severity and grade. Of course, condition plays a monumental role in determining value. A heavily circulated grease-filled 1973 cent graded good, G4, might bring $15, while the same error in very fine, VF20, could reach $50. Bring that to extremely fine, EF40, and you're looking at $80 or more. In mint state, an MS63 grease error often sells for $150, MS65 doubles can fetch $300, and MS66 pieces, especially if they carry eye appeal with natural cartwheel luster, can command $500 to $700. Double dies in MS67 or above are true showpieces, often reserved for major auctions where deep-pocketed specialists drive prices skyward. It's worth noting that cleaning, polishing, or altering these coins can decimate their value. Grease-filled dies often leave subtle surface discolorations and residue patterns, evidence of the error itself. Scrubbing or using chemical dips removes that proof-like film and can blur or distort faint design elements. Collectors prize natural surfaces, so the moment you see scratch marks or unnatural brightness, your coin's worth plummets. Let your 1973 error pennies rest in protected holders, and let their untouched surfaces speak for themselves. In tracking down these cents, many collectors adopt a two-pronged strategy. First, they hunt circulation. Bankroll searches and piggy bank hunts can yield surprising finds, especially in regions where coins cycle slowly through commerce. Second, they turn to online platforms and auction houses where error specialists list detailed images and provenance. When shopping online, look for coins with crisp photographs of both obverse and reverse, including close-ups of the date area and mint mark region. Compare those images to certified examples sold in recent auctions to gauge authenticity and market consistency. One of the quirkiest stories involves a 1973 cent discovered inside an old mechanical jukebox. The machine hadn't been serviced since the early 1980s, and it still contained coins from that era. A technician unloading the coin box noticed a penny with ghostly lettering, an extreme grease fill that made Lincoln's profile nearly vanish. After authentication, that coin sold for $220, but more than its price tag, collectors loved the origin tale, a relic of both minting history and roadside Americana preserved in a neon-lit diner. Family connections sometimes add sentimental value. One collector received a 1973 double die cent as a graduation gift from his grandfather, a longtime bank teller who recognized its rarity. That sentimental heirloom, though not graded, holds infinite worth for him, proof that coins can carry stories across generations. Whether you're leafing through a scrapbook of auction catalog clippings or swapping tales at a coin club meeting, these pennies bridge past and present, linking us to the small, mechanical marvel of coin production. As you venture out in search of a 1973 penny with minting irregularities, remember to trust your eyes, cultivate patience, and verify every detail with reliable resources. Whether you're rifling through rolls at your local bank or browsing specialist auction listings online, your next standout find might be just a coin's flip away. And with that in mind, let's bring everything together and reflect on how these two Lincoln cents, 1989 and 1973, prove that even the smallest denominations can pack the mightiest stories.